Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to the Ginetta Cup. Season 3 is here, and once again, this fan-favourite one-make championship promises action-packed racing, close battles, and plenty of drama. We kick things off today at the legendary Brands Hatch GP circuit, a track that rewards bravery and punishes mistakes. With a full grid of talent, regular Monday drivers, and 6 thrilling rounds ahead, it's time to get this season underway. Joining us in the studio tonight with the camera work is Ash Bibby, and for the first time ever on RCI TV, my co-commentator will be Joseph Black, plus a huge welcome, of course, to our team of live stewards, keeping a close eye on the action to ensure fair and competitive racing. And Joseph, welcome to the comms box for the first time ever. I think you've chosen a very good championship to cut your teeth on here today at RCI.
I think so as well, and I think I'm going to be... I'm very much looking forward to this one, and I'm very much looking forward to the action that we're going to have on the circuit. As you mentioned, it's a one-make championship, and so we should be getting some incredible racing action. I mean, it's Brands Hatch. It's a circuit that will suit these cars oh so well, and so all the drivers should hopefully put on a good show.
Yeah, indeed. Some 30 plus drivers with us here tonight. Qualifying has been underway while we've been getting the broadcast up on the air. We'll do a quick server restart before we jump in to show you the cars on the grid today. And a quick rundown of the calendar. Tonight we kick off at Brands Hatch, and then every Monday for the next 5 weeks or so, we head ourselves around the world. So round 2, we head to Hungaroring. Again, another close racing track, suits one-make cars very well. Round 3, we're back in Blighty for Alton Park. That's going to be a fantastic round, almost dubbed the Nürburgring of the UK with all the elevation changes. Round 4, we head over to Holland for Zandvoort. Again, another track that promotes, close racing among these one-make cars. A short hop on the ferry once again back to Blighty for Snetterton. That's round 5, takes you to the end of March before we head down to Italy for round 6 at Imola, where we allow these cars to really stretch their legs, and the typical 6th gear shortness will probably rear its head, at least in round 6. But we're going all the way through to the beginning of April. So if you do want to get your teeth cut in ACC and you're thinking, where can I do this? Head on over to the website, racerci.com, and get your name down for this one, because season 3 of Ginetta Cup, it proves to be a very popular format. As you said, Joseph, of course, we throw everybody in to the same car. So driver talent really does prevail and rear its head. And of course, we'll bring you the qualifying standings very shortly. We're just waiting for the server to go back up with the correct rule set. But I will give you a sneak preview. The number 69 did take the pole position. And anybody that's a regular on RCI Mondays will know exactly who is in the number 69 car. And it's, of course, Andy Boardman from the Greased Weasel Racing team. And, Andy Boardman needs no introduction, I'm going to say, here. We all know who he is. He's very aggressive in the way he drives and defends, and he always puts on a great show. So getting his mark in quite early in the championship so far. I'm not sure point scoring in the championship. We are gifting 4 points to pole position, so already off to a good start. Andy Boardman, 4 points to his name.
Yeah, not a bad start to the championship is that, and I'll be hoping to continue that sort of momentum. He'll have built that up more than anybody else because of the fact that he's taken that pole position, and so he will be in. He will be at the top of the standings. But looking at the moment, we have been able to get back into the lobby, and we should be able to see some Ginetta cars heading around the circuit. And why not start off with the number 777, the second highest number on this grid tonight, and one of 2 angel numbers as well. This is Joe Dorber, who is heading around this circuit. We've got a few minutes of free practice, but once we've done that, we should be heading to an hour-long race around this Brands Hatch circuit. We've gone through the calendar already, but it's another circuit. It's one of many circuits on this calendar that just has so many elevation changes. I mean, you think of the long run under the bridge is one of the most iconic shots in old Formula One now. In in sort of in old Formula One, in now transitioning over to general sports cars as well, and we're all good. We're all good. We should be going within the next couple of minutes, and we should be getting going to lights out, as you say. Boardman taking pole position, number 69 car will be lining up right up at the front of season 3 of the Ginetta Cup. Round 1 is set to be underway within the next few minutes.
Yeah, so drivers just getting their practice under the belt. Joe Dorber actually got his excuse in early this week. He left the UK 19 years ago to move to Germany and hasn't got used to driving right-hand drive once again. So lots of drivers getting their excuses in earlier in the Ginetta Cup. Lots of them European drivers used to left-hand drive cars. And, of course, not too used to the right-hand drive setup. And Ryan Gill offering a few tips of moving the camera all the way over to the left side of the car. Some might possibly elect to use bonnet view. I drove this car last night, and it is, even for me, as a Brit on the right-hand side, used to left-hand drive, of course, race cars, it's quite weird to try and look through the A-pillar going into, right-hand turns, Paddock Hill Bend being one of them. That's quite blind in this car as you approach it. Of course, up the other side towards Druids, again, equally blind on entry. Then we've got a few left-handers, Graham Hill, Surtees, possibly, as Joe said, under the Pilgrims drop. Up Hawthorne Hill the other side, another blind corner. Out towards the back of the circuit, Westfield, Shinker, again, blind corners, big A-pillar in the way before heading through the left turn of Stirlings, of course, towards Clark Curve, the final turn before the lap is completed. And Brands Hatch, quite an old-school circuit in its nature, Joe. We're used to seeing lots of, I dub them Tilka circuits in the modern day world. Lots of grass, lots of AstroTurf, extra runoff and tarmac to begin with. And here at Brands Hatch, it's kind of curb and then grass. There's not a lot of extra tarmac. And that's going to be something we'll probably see quite a few drivers being caught out with tonight.
Yeah, one of the circuits on the Formula One calendar. Not only are they designed by Herman Tilke, they're now designed, one of them, by Herman Tilke's son. And so that legacy continues. But these sorts of circuits throw up something a little bit different, something a little bit more old school, which, in my opinion, is a lot better, because they're given a lot of runoff, given a lot of margin for error around circuits like Paul Ricard we've seen, but looking at now, I think we've got our formation lap ready to go, and then you can get your first view of the grid. So that's Boardman on pole position alongside the 108 of Stevenson. That is Dorber in third place, and I believe, right, you told me how to pronounce this before the broadcast, I've forgotten. Is it Hull?
We go with Huel. Nobody's pulled me up on it since, so I'm sticking with it. Raphael, if you're listening, I apologise very much, but we're going with Huel.
Okay, right, so that's Raphael Huel in fourth place. Running down the rest of the grid fifth place is Martin. I'm just pulling up the full names now so I can give them the proper pronunciations of their names. Miguel Martins in fifth place with Christian Lindgren alongside him. And then you've got Curtin, that being Olivier Curtin, in seventh place. Then Ted Edwards, an RCI legend, sitting in eighth. Callum Kerrigan alongside him in ninth. Not alongside him, just behind him in ninth. Even with Tom Shipston rounding out the top 10. Then you've got Armstrong, Redford, Phil Malter, Stevenson, Mulder, Ers, Howard, Malcolm, Lundqvist, then Boss, Jackson, Toth. No, it wasn't Toth, was it? I'm trying to remember all of these pronunciations. I'll get there. It was... what was it?
Did we say Toth? Did we agree?
I think we agreed Toth, something like that. I'll get Google to translate up in a minute. Then it's Varga, Byron, Pimlet, Lawson, and then Humphreys rounding out the field. But, we've got 27 cars on the grid, so it should be set to be a good race.
Yeah, 27 cars and lots of Monday regulars in the field as well. I'm sure viewers at home will recognize a few, and a big shout out to you guys. If you are tuning in, thank you for bearing with us. We've had a few technical difficulties tonight, but fingers crossed we do get it back underway. We've already got a Joe Dorber fan in chat. Joe Dorber confirming his excuse was valid as well, leaving the UK 19 years ago. Nico Kumpu not with us tonight, but says good luck, everyone. Keep it clean. Of course, that's the key thing we do want to see here tonight is good, clean racing. And of course, Nico Kumpu, our Deutschland Masters, did very well in that series. Not with us here tonight, but maybe could see a late season sign up from him. 2 minutes to go. Grid countdown, top right hand side of your screen. Next to that, just remind you guys, it is the weather. We're not expecting any rain here today. We're expecting a dry race, which is rare for the UK. I know normally we're constantly surrounded by rain, but 27 degrees in the air, 36 degrees down on the track surface. And as I mentioned to Joe earlier, GT4 cars and ACC, no tyre blankets. So they do come out stone cold basically and take about 2 laps or so to really build up temperature and pressure as they work themselves around the Brands Hatch GP circuit. So expect to see cars get quite fast here today. They'll start off quite slow, quite conservative, and then we'll really start to see people attacking curbs and really pushing the limits of the little Ginetta car. Handles a bit like a go-kart almost, I thought, when I drove it, especially when the tyres come in. However, with those cold Pirellis, not a very pretty car to drive around Brands Hatch. A bit of a squirrely mess, and I've already seen some drivers turning off traction control and really trying to push the limits. But Andy Boardman on pole, Will Stevenson, a name I haven't seen in RCI for quite a while, making a comeback for the Ginetta Cup. Joe Dorber, Raphael Huell, as you said, behind them. Monday regulars once again. Miguel Martins, Christian Lindgren in one of the Sim Brothers cars. I did see Matthias Byron on the practice server yesterday. Not sure if he has made it to tonight's race. He has, down in P24, as I just quickly scroll the results. And again, lots of RCI regulars, as you said. Ted Edwards in there as well. Callum Kerrigan, Les Stevenson. That's a car we've got to take a look at later on. And again, custom liveries playing their part here today. 30-second countdown is underway. Cars will become off their jacks, and that will be their choices on fuel, brakes and tyres as they get underway. We've got a mandatory pit stop here tonight as well. We're dictating a 20-minute pit window, 1 litre of fuel to be added, and a fixed refueling time of 25 seconds, with strategy slightly open, if we're honest, because whether you take the 1 litre, you take the 25 litres, or the 50 litres even, should I say, it's still going to cost you 25 seconds in the lane.
It's going to cost you the same amount of time regardless of how much fuel you put in, so it's not even worth it coming in just to stick a tiny bit of fuel in the car right at the end of the pit window. It's I think the strategy that makes the most sense is maybe just going a little bit of a split and then coming in halfway through the race, and I think most of the drivers will be doing that, but we could be seeing some different strategies thrown into the mixture here, which could be seeing different competitors rise to the fore, and it'll be interesting to see what the front runners do comparing with each other. Obviously, Boardman on that pole position. We are on the formation lap before we get going. They're warming up those tyres as much as they can because, as you say, they're going to be very squirrely on the first few laps. It's going to take a while to get them going. I'm sure this is where the formation lap is going to be so crucial, because who can use it to full effect? This formation lap is just... It's one of the most underrated parts of a race, where you're just desperately trying to just make full advantage of it. You're trying to make all of those strategic adjustments, make all of those, tire warm-ups, brake warm-ups, get everything ready for the race. If you don't take the formation lap as solidly as you can, then you'll be seeing yourself maybe just with that slight couple of tenths disadvantage, which at the start of the race, when everybody is also close together, it will just cost you just quite a lot of position, which in time will cost you a lot more time in general. but cold tyres should serve up what should be some action starting us off in this hour's worth of the Ginetta GT Cup. The first round of the season comes here at Brands Hatch, and we are bringing it to you tonight. So thank you to those of you who have tuned in so far, and hopefully we've got a good show on the road.
Yeah, hopefully we can do the Ginetta's justice. It normally is a very good championship for us here at RCI as drivers begin to now grid up 2x2. Of course, rolling formation into a rolling start here today as they go through clearways towards Clark Curve. It's a short run down towards Paddock Hill Bend. It's a corner that is particularly tricky on choosing your braking point. Too early, you're going to find yourself dove by half the field, and too late, you're going to find your way into the gravel trap on the outside. Who can be the last of the late breakers here today? Andy Boardman to the left, Will Stevenson to the right, Joe Dorber and Raphael Huell on the row behind Miguel Martins and Christian Lindgren. Slightly out of sequence there, covers off the inside nicely. Andy Boardman off to an excellent start, although Stevens sniffing round the outside. The long way round goes Martins, dipping a wheel, possibly in the gravel, is going to harm his momentum as he comes up towards Druids. This is the typical pinch point where we see everybody trying to jostle for position. We've got a pit lane starter as well. That might be a sensible call in the long run. Lots of clear air to run through for the next hour. However, you will catch traffic at some point, and fingers crossed there won't be a car sideways across the road. Andy Boardman leads first sector as they come through Surtees now, preparing the long run down the iconic hill. As you mentioned earlier, Joe, underneath the bridge, down through Pilgrim's Drop, up the other side towards Hawthorne Hill, into Hawthorne's. Not really a passing place. It does make it very awkward if you do manage to get yourself side by side. It harms a lot of momentum as you come out towards Westfield. We've got dust being kicked up in the background. Christian Lindgren sniffing at the back of Miguel Martins. He's managed to break free from Olivier Curtin just behind in the 111, although Callum Kerrigan managing to jump Ted Edwards. We got the first car wide at Sheen Curve, and I think that was Miguel Martins, although managing to hold onto it. It's a very bumpy section of grass out there, and typically we see drivers hit that and kind of skip their way towards drivers right into the Armco. But I don't want to curse it, but touch wood, this has been a relatively clean lap. Everybody quite nicely spaced, I would say, Joe, as they come across the start-finish line. Andy Boardman leads the first lap here at the Ginetta Cup, and we got a move in the background between Lily Armstrong and Ted Edwards. Goes sailing off Paddock Hill in the race Ventura number 8, and back on front in front of Rudy Philmolter. Mike Redford's involved in that one as well. Carl Scatter, Matthias Byron manages to get through with one of the Kaiju cars as well, and that's Ted Edwards, Ollie Mulder and Mike Redford all caught up in the big one. I was only saying how clean it was, and then it all begins to kick off. Let's catch a race replay here. Ted Edwards off the gravel, jumps back on, and unfortunately Mike Redford being caught up with Ollie Mulder there. Rudy Philmolter off to the outside tyre wall. He gets back underway, and we've already got Ollie Mulder in the pit lane. Immediately escapes to garage. Doesn't feel like he can come back from that one, and Ted Edwards, quite slow, gets caught up with the number 78 as they come through Surtees. I think Ted Edwards is going to be sporting a lot of damage on that Ginetta, although pit window isn't open yet, Joe. So if he does come down the pit lane, that's not going to count towards his mandatory stop. He's got another 17 minutes or so before that pit window opens.
Yeah, and he'll be hoping for a little bit more chaos as we've got a race replay here. I think we had another incident, as that could be another incident here. Just going very tight into the corner. Just watching a little bit of wheel banging there. So you mentioned it was a clean start. I think you might have jinxed it as we head now with Rod riding on board with Les Stevenson well, I mean, don't inspect the car too closely, but the man sitting in P10 currently 4 seconds off the top 9, so he'll be hoping to just try to close that gap in the next few laps, but at the moment defending from Urs and Howard trying to go for a move. Little wobble on the exit for Urs, and through goes Howard up into that P11 spot. They're still tussling away behind Stevenson here as we head through the second sector, and who is going to come out on top we will see, as that is Aidan Howard dropping behind and dropping back behind us as the move for P11 has been made, and it could be made even worse with Howard falling behind, maybe even Malcolm, who's got the slipstream, but just sits behind at the moment. This is not the time to make those silly moves, and they're just sitting in formation. The confirmation, and that Urs has made his way past Howard. That gap of 1 second has been broken between Stevenson and Urs, and he'll try to get back in, try to get that momentum going once again. The fight is on in this mid-pack for the lower top 10, I think, is where you can say that they're fighting for, because with Les Stevenson in P10, 4.7 seconds off the top few at this early stage of the race, they'll just be trying to take that advantage and trying maybe to fight forward as much as they possibly can. We're heading down now, and just a little bit of lag spike in there, but all seem to be relatively in position. We have had turn one's brake bollard taken out, which, well, somebody's run wide there, but at the end of the day, so far we've come through relatively clean. Little bit of wheel banging, couple of drivers who've lost that momentum, and obviously that incident that we saw a couple of minutes ago. But all said and done, Boardman still sits on top, and their top two are now looking to try to build a gap.
Yeah, of course, Andy Boardman leading Will Stevenson out front, half a second to the good Joe Dorber, 1.5 seconds behind, and Raphael Huell in tow with him as well. Christian Lindgren a little bit further back though, 2.5 seconds, being chased by Olivier Curtin, just under a second's gap between those guys. Callum Kerrigan leads Tom Shipston. That's something I never thought I would be saying ever. Tom Shipston, quite a quick driver in his own right, but Callum Kerrigan admitting that he secretly loves the Ginetta, and certainly going to be a favourite car for him on this season. So already stretching his legs there up into P7. But Will Stevenson isn't taking this one lying down. He is chomping at the bit of Andy Boardman, tucked underneath the car, already dipping wheels into the gravel. Be very careful doing that one, because it's a long race here this afternoon. All you want to have is a good set of tyres underneath you by the time we reach the end, because again, taking tyres in that pit stop, that's going to cost you an additional 5 seconds, and it doesn't sound like a lot, 5 seconds in terms of real time, but 5 seconds on a racing circuit, certainly a large number to behold on that one. Will Stevenson, though, fastest lap of the race last time by. He's going to be aided a little bit by Andy Boardman on the long drag down Pilgrim's Drop, and of course across the main straight towards Paddock Hill. So you can already see Andy Boardman there dabbing the brakes, trying to settle the car slightly as they're on the limit as they head through Hawthorns. Two very different lines. Westfield, you can take quite a lot of inside curb. It doesn't really upset the car too much, and again, you can carry much more speed through Westfield as they head up through Sheen Curve. Will Stevenson not able to get close enough to make a move, and I think they're going to be thinking about the long game here today, Joe. Of course, 52 minutes on the clock. There's no point beginning to squabble kind of, pit stops as such. Got such a good gap to Raphael Huell, 2.6 seconds behind. And if you just work with Andy Boardman, you can really extend that lead out between you guys. And again, Huell and Dorber are locked together behind. So if those two start fighting, that could open the gap even more.
Well, the top two are now 3.7 seconds ahead of Dorber in third place, so they really have an opportunity here to push forward. But for Stevenson, I think there's a real eye, because obviously he's got the fastest lap of the race. He feels as though at the moment he is quicker than Boardman, going 200 slower in that last lap. But they are so together in terms of the lap times, with Stevenson actually only 0.2 quicker than Boardman in terms of their fastest ones. So these two matching right at the start of this one, and Boardman just sitting in P number 1 at the moment, with Stevenson running off onto the grass, actually, just taking too much speed into the corner, and on the exits, just dropping behind. Sorry for the frame drops if you are catching them, because I think we had quite a long watch of Callum in the pits, Callum Carrigan coming down the pit straight. But we're back on with Boardman, and we're back on with Stevenson as well.
So a few technical issues with Ash tonight. Bear with us while we try and get these remedied and get you back to the action. A perfect time, though, to tell you all about the RCI calendar, completely uninterrupted by the racing scenes on your screens. Friday continues, of course, the Le Mans Ultimate Friday Sprint Series. They head to round 6 in Belgium to take on Spa. Hypercar and GT3 take to the stage on RCI TV on Fridays. I believe you can join Jesse and Katrina on that one. And there are still some spaces. So if you are looking to dip your toe into the Le Mans Ultimate realm, then that could be the place to do so. Saturday this week, brand new championship. Heads up iRacing fans. We begin the Ready Set Sim Endurance Series on iRacing, also known as the RSS Endurance Series, with round 1 taking place at Sebring. I believe last night when I checked, 35 out of a potential 60 spaces filled for this one. And for the first time ever within RCI, trophies are on the table for the teams finishing in the top 3 at the end of the season. That's in both classes, I believe, GTP and GTD. And not only trophies on the table, but also Ready Set Sim has put up €400 in prize pool as well. So if you fancy some silverware or either some cash, get yourselves signed up for that one. You can also sign up and find our events anytime, day or night, as you head on over to racerci.com. And we do have a few more events in the pipeline to come this year. So currently Ginetta's on the table, RSS Endurance Series. Of course, the 6 Esports Series and the IMB Community Series have wrapped up. Saturday Night Owl wrapped up last week as well. And Tyler Jason Lavely, King Joe Dorber and Harry Conway in Pro. And Rudy Filmalter winning silver overall as well. So lots of potential drivers coming over from Night Owl into the Ginetta Cup. And as I said, RCI.com, and down below you can find all of our links, including Discord, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, where you can catch all the exciting stuff that goes on behind the scenes at RCI as well. So good thing to keep your eye on there. Also, a quick mention from our partners. They were revolving around in the bottom left-hand side of your screen earlier on. AK Esports, a top provider of premium esports services and equipment. AK offers everything you need to elevate your competitive gaming experience, from high-performance hardware to expert coaching and also event management. Plus, they provide our service here at RCI as well. Check the link in the description if you believe they can help your needs. A new partner with us here this year, Coach Dave Delta. Faster lap times start with Delta, a setup and data analysis tool for iRacing, ACC, LMU, and even Gran Turismo 7. Available in 9 languages, giving you access to setups, racing lines, and data analysis. And why not stay ahead of your rivals with Delta? You can check the link down in the description below and take your racing performance to the next level. And another new partner for us this year, Green Man Gaming, where you can buy games and game keys via Green Man Gaming with the best prices, awesome bundles, and exclusive game deals daily. You can be sure to check our link out, in the description below. And Jesse Lee did mention earlier about a potential deal on Monster Hunter Wilds, just released, 16% off through Green Man Gaming on that one. IMB Racewear, again, they put up the prize pool for our community series, providing fully custom designs to allow sim and real life racers to make the impact they have always wanted in their apparel. And lastly, but no means least, of course, Moser Racing, who we were thrilled to partner with just last year. A leader in high-quality sim racing gear, Moser Racing has everything you need to boost your racing experience. And lastly, but no means least, we are a recommended Motorsport UK esports recommended community. So you can be sure to check us out over there. And I believe their membership does include an offer on the iRacing platform for a year. Once you become a paid member of Motorsport UK. But we are back to the action on your screens at the moment, and relatively unchanged at the front of the field. Andy Boardman still leading Will Stevenson. Gap opened up to about half a second just over. It's the widest it's been so far in the race, but the gap behind to Raphael Huel has opened up considerably. 6.5 seconds as they cross the last timing gate, which would have been the start line. And Joe Dorber has dropped off the back of Huel, and now Christian Lindgren finds himself just outside the top 3 as well. So we've cut away, we've come back, and everything's changed towards the front end in the top 10, Joe.
Yeah, but the top 2 staying line astern, and I'm glad that we have been able to get back in at this time where it all seems to just be cooking up a storm. We could be getting a little bit of action very, very soon, as now Dorber quicker than Lindgren in that first sector by 5 whole tenths, and so the battle for P4 could be spicing up. Lindgren only 1.4 seconds off of Hull as well, or Huel even, as you would pronounce it. You've got Olivier Curtin involved in that battle for P4 as well. He's currently sitting 7 tenths behind Dorber, 4th, 5th and 6th, that battle at the moment. It's all just cooking up at the moment with 40, well, we're about a quarter of the way through this race, and well, they're all taking their time to settle into this race, I think, is the part and parcel of it. They're taking their time. They're getting prepared for it, for a little charge down at the end, and they're just stabilising themselves. Of course, this is round 1 of the championship, so they haven't quite established yet what they're going to be fighting for. But Boardman and Stevenson sitting at the top, hoping maybe to be championship contenders. Stevenson with the pace over the last couple of laps, though maybe not. 1.9 seconds off of Boardman. There has been a couple of mistakes eked out from the driver, currently sitting in P2. So again, not ideal from him, you would imagine, and I'd imagine that he would be trying to get back on track and backed up to the Grease Weasel Racing rear wing of the number 69, sitting in P1 currently. This is Tom Shipston. He, Armstrong and Kerrigan are locked in battle, and we could be seeing moves for either one of these drivers as they all try to shape one up over the next few corners. They're trying to gain the momentum out of the corner, and that is momentum for Armstrong closing in on Kerrigan. This could be a move that we're seeing for P number 7. Shipston running slightly wide out of the corner, and so he will not be in that same sort of gap. There is a gap of about a car between Armstrong and Shipston at the moment. Kerrigan and Armstrong went down to about half a car, and a poor exit for Kerrigan opens up the door for Armstrong to just slip through and move up into P number 7. It's not established just yet, but with an incredible exit comparatively, that is enough for Lily Armstrong to make that move. And as she comes across the timing beam, she will be up into P7. A move as well for P8 could be shaped up with Shipston around the outside of Kerrigan, but Kerrigan just having that cornering speed to hold on to it. To poor Echo could see them side by side, but Kerrigan in the end just holding on to it. But Shipston at the moment keeping him honest.
Yeah, so I think a move around the outside of Paddock Hill would have been very brave, but Kerrigan certainly under threat from Shipston, looming in the background. Lily Armstrong is through and already breaking away, trying to distance themselves from Callum Kerrigan just in the background. And if Lily Armstrong, or if Callum Kerrigan, sorry, is anything like me, as soon as I see Lily Armstrong getting past me, many of you will know, of course, one of the few controller players within ACC, certainly on the PC side of things here. Of course, predominantly lots of people using fancy setups, wheels, sim rigs, you know, you name it, motion platforms, triple screens, ultra wides, And Lily Armstrong out here on a controller, single monitor, still slapping people about. And it really, really winds me up, as they know, when they overtake me. Some good battles had throughout the mini British GT series a few years back with Armstrong. But certainly a good driver in their own right, and able to get through Kerrigan, and hopefully can extend their gap and close up on the back of Olivier Curtin. But typically in this one-make series racing, we do tend to get these trains beginning to form, and at the head of this one is Captain Kevin Boss in the number 31 Wheelie Slow racing car. Peter Lundqvist just behind in the 999 Sim Brothers Racing entry, and Neil Pimlott tagging on the back as well. And in the background, you're not seeing double, it is Matthias Byron in the number 100. Again, Joseph, lots of Sim Brothers entries in these kind of championships on Monday. Typically, 4, 5, sometimes even 6 cars. It gets very confusing up here in the comms box, but Sim Brothers always out to put on a good show, and no team orders. You will see these guys taking lumps out of each other when they do start battling, and it's rather entertaining for us up here in the box. But able to fend off Neil Pimlott for the first sector. Peter Lundqvist, of course, his sight set on Ken Boss, and also glancing in the rearview mirror, and Matthias Byron a little bit too far back to be doing anything on this one. But relatively speaking, though, Joe, everybody has kind of spaced themselves out somewhat, which is quite rare to see in a one-mate championship. Every single Ginetta Cup I think I've witnessed, everybody's been packed together like sardines. So this is quite a rarity we're seeing here today for round one.
Yeah, everybody just maybe suffering just that little bit from some of the just preparing themselves, maybe some not doing as well as others. That is Huel into the pits, and the number 21 car becomes the first to dive in an actual scheduled stop. The pit window has opened. We've got 20 minutes left of it, and the pits begin now. That is not only Huel, but also Stevenson diving into the box and strapping themselves into that fuel, into the fuel hose, and hopefully coming out with enough to go to the end of the race. Ted Edwards as well, not been his day, with 20 seconds worth of penalties, down in P22 at the moment, and coming in now for the mandatory stop. This will be the time that the likes of Stevenson can try to fight his way back up, because he's now dropped past 2 seconds behind Boardman, and he's got to do something just to try to close that gap in. And maybe the undercut could be the strategy. Obviously, he will have less fuel in the car at the point of him coming out, because Boardman, of course, remember, 25 seconds worth of penalties, so the strategies will play into it. Stevenson likely to have, maybe if he does come in, loaded up the car pretty strongly as Boardman crosses the line. Lap 14, and it's 2.1 seconds, so dropping quite consistently. So maybe Stevenson has actually gone for quite a heavy fuel setup. We will see. All these things will become known as we head through across the next few laps and across the pit windows. We've got a few more cars diving into the pits, the peak of which being Shipston in P8. And so the strategy battle's really coming into it. Olivier Curtin could be shaping up a move on Lindgren in P number 4. And the number 33 car holding on at the moment by 0.4 of a second. They've got Kerrigan as well waiting there in case they make a mistake, as well as Armstrong 4 seconds behind. Yeah, Lindgren and Curtin, the closest drivers to making an overtake at the moment. This is for P at number 4. Then they're 4.2 seconds up the road. And then you've got Dorber in the final podium position. It could be a gap that can be closed in quite easily, 4.2 seconds, in case Dorber does have a couple of moments like we saw Stevenson do in his pursuit of Boardman earlier on. But we'll have to wait and see as to whether that sort of thing occurs. At the moment, Lindgren and Curtin just so close together. Curtin not going for any risky moves, but that was a poor exit for Lindgren. This could open up the door for Curtin, but no, indeed it does not. Lindgren covering his mistakes pretty well and holding on to that P4.
Yeah, so lingerer. A very good defensive driver, won numerous titles with us here at RCI as well, so probably very capable in fending off the 111 Kraken Engineering entry here today. We're going to attempt to resolve our technical difficulties here today. We're going to make a quick broadcaster switch from Ash Bibby to Jesse Lee. So bear with us while we get this one back underway, and we'll bring you all the action very shortly from round one here at Brands Hatch.
You ready? 3, 2, 1, go. Get behind the wheel, let's go. Grip the road, feel the flow. Thunder roaring, steel alive. Live this dream and drive. Tires burning with gasoline. Push the limits, chasing green. One shot, don't slow, go on, we'll take control. Engines scream alive tonight. Blazing past the red line. Outrun the night, won't lose this fight. Follow the road, red line for show. We're chasing taillights, don't let go. Under the stars, we'll go so far. This is who we are. Chasing taillights. Chasing taillights. Chasing taillights. We're chasing taillights. The miles they fade, but they don't die. Faster now, the hours fly by. Sweat and gears, hearts in sync. On the edge, on the brink. Clock ticks down, stakes are high. One mistake, we kiss us goodbye. Don't slow down, we're not done. Finish line for the strong ones. Engines scream alive tonight. Blazing past the red line. Outrun the night, won't lose this fight. Follow the road, red line for show. We're chasing taillights, don't let go. Under the stars, we'll go so far. This is who we are. Chasing taillights. Chasing taillights. Chasing taillights. We're chasing taillights. Feel the rush, see the goal. Every second, take control. The world blurs, time won't wait. We rise, we fight, we accelerate. 3, 2, 1, go. Follow the road, red line for show. We're chasing taillights, don't let go. Under the stars, we'll go so far. This is who we are. Chasing taillights. We're chasing taillights. Chasing taillights. We're chasing taillights. Chasing taillights. Chasing taillights. Chasing taillights. We're chasing taillights. We're always chasing taillights. You ready? 3, 2, 1, go. Get behind the wheel, let's go. Grip the road, feel the flow. Thunder roaring, steel alive. Live this dream and drive. Tires burning with gasoline. Push the limits, chasing green. One shot, don't slow, go on, we'll take control. Engines scream alive tonight. Blazing past the red line. Outrun the night, won't lose this fight.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to the Ginetta Cup Season 3, Round 1 here at Brands Hatch. We've had a quick change of broadcaster. Ash Bibby has stepped away. Jesse Lee has jumped in, but it is still myself, John Dalton, and alongside me for the first time ever on RCI TV is Joseph Black and Andy Boardman in the number 69 Greased Weasel racing car, still out front, 1.3 seconds to the good this time on Will Stevenson. Joe Dorber, 11.2 seconds. These two have built such a massive margin over the rest of the field. Pit window still open for another 9 or so minutes, and Joe, we've had lots of activity down pit lane. Top 6 still yet to pit. Relatively speaking, everybody else in the field has come down the lane, indicated of course by the green box next to their number. That means they've ticked all the requirements for the mandatory stop tonight. Anybody with the orange number 1 still yet to come down. So Raphael Huell, technically first man on the road at the moment in the number 21, who has made his mandatory pit stop. So we'll have to keep an eye on that one.
Yeah, interesting to see that, well, Boardman, Stevenson, Dorber, Curtin, Kerrigan and Lundqvist haven't come into the pits. Very interesting to see that we had front runners from before, the likes of Boardman, Stevenson and Dorber, who have not come in, and the top 3 on our grid still sit top 3 in this race so far. So it'll be interesting to see when they do indeed decide to come in. I think they would have gone for maybe they've just gone for a long stint strategy, something like that, and then they've lucked out with the fact that everybody else dropped off. Stevenson has closed in on Boardman to 1.5 seconds since the last time I spoke with you, but Dorber has dropped off significantly from the back of Stevenson. 11.4 seconds now separates second and third, and surely it's going to be a 2-horse race for this race to head to this race finish. We've got Neil Pimlott here right behind Boss in P13, as that is not what we would want to see. But, well, we are just going to take a little bit of a quick break. So, John, do your thing.
Yeah, a bit of a B-roll here while Jesse Lee gets his things back underway. Andy Boardman has come down pit lane, led in with Will Stevenson and Joe Dorber. So top 3 have pitted. Olivier Curtin inherits the lead in the 111, along with Callum Kerrigan. They've stayed out as well, and Peter Lundqvist, I can only imagine, will also stay out around them. We mentioned earlier about the live stewards. We gave them a big shout out in the intro. We mentioned how we have live stewards here today, and speaking of live pictures are back with us. Joe Dorber this time coming down pit lane to make his mandatory stop, and Will Stevenson, Andy Boardman followed suit as well. Olivia Curtin, as I said, inherits the lead. And we spoke about the live stewards, and they have been relatively busy tonight. McKenna McConnell and her team, big shout out to those guys for getting involved in this one. Not too many incidents as we see a car off there in the background. That's the number 11. That's Scott Lawson just on the outside there of Hawthorne's Bend. I think still out back to the pit lane actually on that one. The number 26 also round on the exit of Surtees on that one. So again, not the ideal place you want to be facing in the number 26 there. I was saying the live stewards doing a wonderful job. Lots of racing incidents, minor contacts, although we did get a decision, as we saw, incident on lap 2, turn 1, involving the 8, the 95. It was a 20 seconds for the number 8, deemed for an unsafe rejoin, leading to a multiple car takeout. We then had another incident on lap 2, turn 1. The same incident again, really, involving a few different cars, the 95 and the 228. It was deemed 5 seconds for the 95 for not holding the brakes, leading to avoidable contact. We then had lots of racing incident, minor contacts throughout laps 2, 3 into 4, into 5, when we saw lap 5, turn 7, involving the 777 and the 21. That was, of course, Raphael Huell and Joe Dorber, as we see Sim Brothers Racing entry side by side, down the hill, up the other side. Byron has to go the long way around of Lundqvist and holding the inside line. That's brought Kevin Boss now into the fight in the wheelie slow racing team as they head out towards the back end of the circuit at Westfield's. A flash of the lights from Kevin Boss there. I think he's saying, you know, get a move on. I've got Neil Pimlott coming up behind me, and I don't want to make this a 4-horse race, as they cascade through Surtees back into Linus Stern there. But Kevin Boss certainly looking very racy on the brakes. 777 and the 21 was a warning for the number 21 for overtake with contact. That's where the big time loss came for 3rd and 4th. We then had an incident at lap 5, turn 9, involving the 96 and the 199. It was a 10 seconds for the 199 for avoidable contact, causing major damage towards the inside. Matthias Byron up the inside of his teammate of Lundqvist. But this is how Pimlott ended up facing the wrong way. It's almost a one-to-one kind of seeing double. Two Ginettas there getting into each other. Not sure what happened to Neil Pimlott, but Chris Humphreys involved in that one as well. So 2 cars off there. Byron has been turned around at the top of Druids, waits very sensibly to try and rejoin, although the lock on the Ginetta not enough to get it looped back around. He has to do the old Austin Powers 3-point turn, and a race replay in the wings for Jesse Lee. Here it comes. Up Paddock Hill we go. They were side by side going through. Kevin Boss front row seats. And I said earlier, Joe, Sim Brothers Racing are not afraid to race each other, taking lumps out of each other, and certainly taking lumps out of one another there. Byron on his teammate of Lundqvist. No team orders involved with these guys, and that's the fantastic thing I love to see when the Swedish take to the track. They do put on a fantastic show for us up here in the box.
They certainly do. And, well, I mean, just pushing just a bit over the limit, and contact between the two has dropped drivers down. Just to finish off the stewards report that we were reading out earlier, we have 5 seconds for Raphael Huell for contact with Dorber, and then just minor contact, which is a racing incident between number 31, which is, if I can look at my timing screen, number 31 is dropping down, can't find it, and then number 999 as well, which is Lundqvist. So no, it's Boss and Lundqvist. I'm being slow. That is the replay that we just watched. But yeah, there we go. Kerrigan coming into the pit. The leader of the race will no longer be the leader of the race, and we will be going back to the regular running, and we will be seeing where they all come out in relation to everybody else. We will have they will come down. Well, we'll see as Boardman goes into the lead of the race. We've gone to another screen. So again, apologies for the technical issues that we've been facing tonight. But hopefully we'll be getting you the action for the last, there we go. We've got about a third of the race to go. We've actually got real cars on the circuit. and I know the production team, as well as myself, and I'm sure John as well. We're very, very excited to bring you a very refined stream for the final 22 minutes that we have on offer here, with Boardman, Stevenson separated by 9.8 seconds at the top. So Boardman winning the strategic battle. Stevenson now could be falling back into the clutches of Dorber behind.
Yeah, certainly so. The gap for Boardman has opened up somewhat towards the front of the race, and I can only assume Will Stevenson has taken tyres. Just looking at the last pit stop time, Andy Boardman, this is a rough measurement from pit in to pit out, so it does include the trundle down the lane as well. 59.2 seconds for Andy Boardman. Will Stevenson, a whopping 1 minute 7. And I mean, do the maths, that's going to be a bit of a fumbled stop in the box, plus 5 seconds for tyres on top of the fixed refueling time of 25 seconds. So whether you drop in a litre, as requested by the pit stop requirements, or you drop in that other kind of 50, 60 litres of fuel, still going to cost you the 25 seconds. So I can only assume Stevenson has taken on a fresh set of Pirelli tyres. And just looking to the last lap times, they're not all too dissimilar. Andy Boardman, a 1 minute 32. Will Stevenson, a 1 minute 31.5. So half a second to the good. It's a good gain, but 20 minutes on the race timer. Time is running out, of course, for Will Stevenson towards the latter half of this race, but great to see him back on the grid nonetheless in the number 108. Callum Kerrigan, this man here, I was going to point it out earlier, drive-through penalty for Mr. Kerrigan coming out of the comms box into the race car. That's going to be too fast down the pit lane, because we don't issue drive-through penalties from our live stewards anymore as we catch a race replay. This time, Rudy Filmalter and Matthias Byron, and Byron a little bit too clumsy, carrying a lot of speed through Druids, and unfortunately carrying that speed into the back of Rudy Filmalter, and around he goes, the number 975. A different angle this time on board of Byron, just carries much more speed through the apex, and unfortunately you can't drive through another Ginetta, as proved there by Matthias Byron. Jesse Lee
he made the move.
He did. He made the move. I'm not sure it's the how the way stewards would want to see a move being taken, but a move nonetheless there. Kevin Boss searching his sights onto the back of Peter Lundqvist after we saw the tussle earlier on between Lundqvist and Byron, which has of course offset him. So steward's decision maybe pending on this one. The famous Jurassic Park livery back out for the Sim Brothers Racing, and we've not really taken much of a look at the liveries today. Ash Bibby didn't show us all too many on his grid walk, but Jesse Lee, I'm being told by a birdie that the number 46 of Les Stevenson has something we need to see, potentially on top of it. So I'm sure we can bring you that one in due time before the checker flag, but certainly one to be checking out, as I did a pit walk earlier on and saw it as Jesse Lee, fumbling for his controller currently, wants to see what's on the roof of the number 46. We've got a few penalties still pending on the left-hand side, and if you're wondering why, so ACC, any penalties given before the pit stops, cars are held for the additional time in the pit lane. So people like Huell, Lundqvist and Pimlott have of course received their penalties after their mandatory stop, so that will be tacked on to the end of their race time. So bear in mind, positions will change. Neil Pimlott of course drops 5 seconds. That puts him roughly behind Stevenson and Kerrigan, the man we're riding on board with right now, as Jesse begins his very artistic camera work towards the top end of the Les Stevenson car. All looks normal. You know, the Fat Stig logo on the bonnet, we're used to seeing it, the blue, white, fluoro yellow camo, and what's that at the tip of the wiper? It's a blindfolded man with his shirt off, covering some of his areas. Apparently this isn't against any terms of service on Twitch or YouTube. Completely fine. We've scoured the rules. We've double checked it once, twice before. That is in fact the Roker Poker himself on the roof from the wedding last weekend in Ireland, where of course our two staff members, McKenna McConnell and Grim Lilith, made the match and it was a very, very good ceremony from the photos I saw. And that is one of the photos that made its way to the album. So everybody that's watched the broadcast back tonight, that's a bit of a bonus for sticking with us. You have seen Les Stevenson in full party mode, and you now can't unsee this. So there's always a Les face on the skin somewhere, and this week we have a full face of Les and torso and bottom half as well. I'm just glad the bottom half is, of course, clothed on this one. But back to the action here tonight, of course. Andy Boorman still leads nearly 10 seconds to the good over Will Stevenson. Joe Dorber 4.5 seconds down. He got his excuses in early with me. He's left the UK 19 years ago, not used to right-hand drive. I beg to differ, currently on the bottom step of the podium. Raphael Huel chomping at the bit behind, although 5 seconds penalty being given out, so that should drop him behind Christian Lindgren. Of course, 3.6 seconds to the good, and a big gap back to Lily Armstrong, 9.8 seconds on that one. Kind of in no man's land, almost the zone we call the John Dalton zone here. Although Tom Shipston chunking away just behind of Lily Armstrong, 132.9 for Shipston, 133.7 for Lily Armstrong. So that's a big gain in lap time, just over the line now. 133.4 for Lily Armstrong and a 132.9 for Tom Shipston. So Tom Shipston for the RPMS SimSport crew certainly looming in, and this could see a battle settled just as the checkered flag drops, because we're getting ever closer here, Joe.
Definitely getting ever closer. The battles are just coming to, well, they're just getting closer and closer. I mean, the top two stabilizing at about 10 seconds between the two, 9.8 as we come across the timing beam. So it's those two who are just, I mean, they were race rivals earlier on. I'm sure that they're going to try to be championship rivals later on. Our closest battle on track, though, is Callum Kerrigan, just behind Stevenson. Stevenson just behind Pimlott as well. 1.2 seconds between Pimlott and Stevenson, and then just 7/10 between these two as well. Kerrigan maybe looking for an outside line and maybe just looking for an exit on Stevenson, but at the moment just sits behind. This is the battle for P13, and 2/10 separated the two the last time they came across the beam, and Kerrigan's got no pressure behind to worry about because Malcolm is 10 seconds behind as well. So Callum Kerrigan just staring right at the rear of this car, and he's, well, I'm sure he's glad that the design is on the top, not the rear of the car, although Stevenson will be taking that as maybe a few tips to put drivers off. Maybe just a little bit of maybe some good designs on the rear wing might be good for future. Maybe some skinnier jeans as well for next time's photo shoot. But all these tips we could take into the next photo shoot and into the next races. This is the rear wing of Les Stevenson, and Callum Kerrigan sitting right behind it at the moment. By the way, remember that Pimlott has 5 seconds, so at the moment this is the battle for P11 with that time at the end of the race that will be added on. We've got 13 minutes left in the race, though, so anything could happen.
Yeah, anything can happen indeed. And don't go giving Les ideas. We've already seen a shaving foamed up Les Stevenson on the back of his Porsche Cup car, I think it was, a few seasons ago on Monday, and that was the stuff of nightmares riding on board. But Callum Kerrigan, I think he's got his flasher button bound to the throttle, because I've never seen a pair of Ginetta headlights flashing so much in the back of Les Stevenson. And there they go once again. That's about the fourth one I've counted since we've been watching this fight emerge. And Callum certainly wants to wind Les up, I think. They're all sat in the Monday Gang voice chat. So it's a bit of a thing that our old event manager, Tim Ireland, kind of coined halfway through his kind of period with us here at RCI. Began the Monday Gang. It's a bit of a more of a social aspect, you could say, of ACC, and lots of Monday regulars getting involved, and great to see some new faces in there as well. We've got Onid Aidan Howard in there. We saw him earlier on the broadcast, currently down in P21 in the number 96, although mic muted, but still listening in to what's going on. I can only assure you that, of course, Callum and Les are going to be talking absolute waffle in there between themselves. Matthew Malcolm in there, Ted Edwards as well, Rudy Philmalter, just to name a few. So if you do want to get involved in a social aspect of ACC, then be sure to get your name down for the Ginetta Cup. Meanwhile, Rudy Philmalter and Matthias Byron, I think, repaying the favour into Paddock Hill there. Rudy wasn't having any of it, sized his car up the inside of Byron, and through he went. And we said we can't drive through a Ginetta, but I think proving just there that you certainly can give it a good shot on that one. Then Byron off to driver's left, and Philmalter sliding down Paddock Hill. Meanwhile, Callum Kerrigan looks a little bit closer. I'm not sure if it's just the eye or the TV camera giving a bit of an illusion, but Kerrigan is closer than ever to the back of Stevenson, and they're reeling in Pimlott just ahead, who now is the head of the train here. Pimlott, of course, with the 5-second penalty, as Joe mentioned earlier on, so naturally will lose 2 positions regardless. But again, Pimlott runs wide, Stevenson follows suit, dirty tyres heading into the next corner of Stirling's, beginning to run now down towards Clearways. It's hampered their speed through the bank corner, looking left, looking right. Pimlott doesn't defend, but he does brake too late, runs too wide on the exit, dips a wheel into the gravel. That's going to begin the run of Stevenson and Kerrigan with 3 wide on the start finish straight. Les goes defensive in towards Paddock Hill Bend. Can Callum Kerrigan brake any later? He can't. He can't get the nose up the inside. Pimlott in the background nearly loses the rear end, and Stevenson fending off Callum Kerrigan in this fight. And Joe, you're new to us here at RCI, but these 3 friends off the circuit, believe it or not, teamed up in some endurance races together, but they always put on a great show here on Monday. And Kerrigan has the run, this time down towards the GP loop turnaround. Up the inside Kerrigan goes, it's too wide, they're leaning on each other as they head through Surtees, and now begins the long run down Pilgrim's Drop towards Hawthorne Hill. Now Neil Pimlott in the background closing in. They're going to make it 3 wide once again. Les Stevenson covers off the inside towards Hawthorne's, forces Pimlott to go the long way around, shortens the corner though for Les, which is going to hamper his speed towards the next corner of Westfield. And Neil Pimlott in the background, not close enough to make a move, and the gap spread out. And I think we've all just about calmed down for a moment, although Surtees coming up, drivers keeping it off the grass, and we're now back into line of stern. Under 10 minutes to go this time by. Andy Boorman still out front, 10.5 seconds to the good. He royally is in the John Dalton zone. If John Dalton was a winner, which I was at the N24 just the other week when we ran the Deutschland Masters. That's a claim to my CV I'm going to take away when I stepped out of the commentary box into the N24. First win, and I stuck it in the wall. I stuck it in the wall as well, and I still won, just to add insult to injury there. But yeah, certainly some quick drivers here tonight, and if you do want to get involved, head on over to racerci.com and get your name down for the Ginetta season, and you get to see Les Stevenson's roof, which, you know, who wouldn't want to see that in a race?
Definitely not, and we will get that aerial shot as we go on board, and then briefly, and then off board as well, as we get just a little glimpse of that contact between the few as they just get their elbows out a bit much as well. I mean, why not? There's just a little dink there between Callum Kerrigan and Les Stevenson, all coming through okay, and Kerrigan holding on to that P11. We got another replay here. This is Joe Dorber going maybe for a send on a lap car. There is a send, and it's wow, don't know what's happening there, as there's a huge send that's gone wrong. Looking at another angle here of the Joe Dorber incident, just sending it down the inside, trying to lap Mike Redford, and it's all gone so wrong for Joe Dorber there. And now he drops behind Raphael Huell, and off of the podium places now could be dropping into the clutches of Lindgren, who's only 1.6 seconds behind. So keep your eyes on that timing sheet there. This is Christian Lindgren in P number 5 at the moment, and it could be P4 if Dorber sustained any damage from that contact, which is of course entirely possible. Not sure whether Dorber is going to remain penaltyless for that one. I mean, he was the one who suffered the majority of the issue from that incident, just trying to come round to lap, and was very unsuccessful. You've got to be patient in this sort of race, and there he demonstrated exactly why you've got to be patient. The gap between Boardman and Stevenson now is absolutely huge as Stevenson comes across the line, 11.1 seconds behind. So Boardman demonstrating the pace over the rest of the field by an absolute country mile. This is Stevenson coming through now at turn number 2. This is Andy Boardman, who's had that pace all the race long, and he's just never really looked under threat. Even when Stevenson was within a second, it just didn't seem to be close enough. And Andy Boardman, with 6 minutes left in this race, looks to be winning it at a canter. The only time he wasn't in the lead of the race was when he came into the pits. Of course, we had a driver go very, very long on their stint. I believe it was Huell, if I'm remembering correctly, and he held that lead for a very long time before eventually diving in. Yeah, Boardman in the end just leading throughout this race, apart from that moment. And it will be a very, very well-deserved victory and a very strong beginning to his championship. Dorber is closing back in on Huell, so the pace for Dorber has not been affected by that contact. Hopefully, we will not be seeing any damage. I don't think we will be on that number 777 car, currently sitting in 4th place. And yeah, definitely not, as now closing in by 10th on Raphael Huell. So the battle for P3 on track, at least, might not be over. But I think this is Lindgren's opportunity of 4th place extinguished with that pace that Dorber's showing so far. It's just a shame that there was contact, actually, because Dorber could have been trying to make a charge further up. But, I mean, 11 seconds would have been a huge task to try to catch up. He's closing in on Raphael Huell, and you betcha that he's going to try to fight in these last 5 minutes of this race. He knows that Huell's got that 5-second penalty, but when it's all said and done, you want to get that 3rd place on track.
Yeah, we love to see, places exchanged on track, but of course not forgetting our live stewards casting their eye over everything. I'm not sure how they're going to see the move on Dorber and Redford. We're going to have to keep you updated on that one. We'll try and get to you the report when it does come through. Of course, a good start for Andy Boardman if positions remain how they are. Of course, 4 points for the pole position, 65 points for winning the race, and by my quick calculations, that's going to be 69 points for the number 69 Greased Weasel Racing. Coincidence? I think not, but it's going to be a good start to the championship for Andy Boardman. Nice. Of that one. 3 additional points for the fastest lap of the race should, in theory, go to Will Stevenson in P2. So will take away 58 plus the 3, 61 points. So championship will be relatively close, of course, as we start off, and we'll have to see how that progresses across the next 5 rounds of the season. Next week, we head to Hungaroring. Before the March 17th, we head to Alton Park. Round 4 takes place at Zandvoort. Round 5, we head to Snetterton, before rounding off in Italy at Imola, which should be quite interesting with the short 6th gear these cars possess. And if you do want to get involved, still plenty of rounds to go for you to make your assault on Andy Boardman to see if you can win the Ginetta Cup Season 3. Head on over to racerci.com. Get your name down for this one, because it's going to be quite a good one as we head to the smaller circuits, shall we say, such as Alton Park. It always provides some very good racing on RCI TV, at least. This week, later on, of course, if you were here earlier, you would have heard me say Friday is the turn of the LMU. That's for multi-sprint series. They head to round 6 in Spa. Hypercar and GT3 take to the stage on RCI TV on Fridays. The wonderful Jessie Lee and Katrina Scott bringing you all the pictures. Very tight in the championship points, so everything to play for on that one with the latest sim on the market, of course, LMU. Saturday, if you weren't here earlier, we're kicking off our new championship. It's the Ready Set Sim Endurance Series, taking place on iRacing, with round 1 taking place at Sebring. I believe it was 35 teams when I looked last night out of a potential 60 spaces filled for this one. And for the first time ever within RCI history, trophies are on the table for teams finishing in the top 3 at the end of the season. And alongside Ready Set Sim has also put in €400 up for grabs. That's of course split across as well. So if you do fancy some silverware or some cash, get yourselves signed up for that one. That takes place on Saturday, and fingers crossed we will be bringing you a broadcast here on RCI TV for that one as well. But back to tonight's action, Joe Dorber chomping at the back of Raphael Huel now. He's very close indeed, but remember, Raphael Huel 5 seconds to serve towards the end of his race time. So naturally, he will tumble back behind Joe Dorber and Christian Lindgren, I think, if my quick maths is correct on the gaps there. So Huel set to lose 2 places. Dorber should be up onto the bottom step of the podium, and Lindgren just up into P4 as well on that one. So we're going to keep an eye, though, on Joe Dorber to see, will he get a penalty for the Mike Redford incident? And if he does, that could shuffle him out of contention, and Christian Lindgren could be picking up 2 spots on penalties alone.
Yeah, it should be, well, we'll have to see, as this is the same replay from earlier. This was what cost Joe Dorber quite significantly in this race, dropping back into P number 4 behind Raphael Huel and off that 3rd position on track. We've now got 30 seconds left in this race, and this is Joe Dorber going for that move around the outside of the lap car. This time he's been able to make it nice and cleanly as opposed to what he did earlier. This is a fight between Callum Kerrigan, though, and this is Boss as friends and teammates regularly, but not today. And they are coming to a loggerheads as they head now onto the final couple of parts of this Grand Prix, but a poor exit from Kerrigan. I just said Grand Prix, I'm going to get slaughtered. Kerrigan with a poor exit will now fall into the trap of Stevenson as there's fighting here. Is this against, or Toad even, against Byron behind, and Toad just sitting out in P15 now, dropping behind Malcolm, I think that is. I'm not as good as picking up. That is ahead of Malcolm even. I'm being slow. We've had a stressful broadcast, but we now have the checkered flag that should be waving, and Andy Borman will be the one to take it. And the Greased Weasel Racing driver will take race number 1 here in the Ginetta Cup. And what a performance we've had there.
Yeah, great performance from Andy Boardman. Stuck it on pole, got away cleanly, fended off Stevenson from the get-go, opened up a gap after the pit stops, and he's done just enough to prevail. 12 seconds to the good. Early dominance from Andy Boardman. Raphael Huel comes through in 3rd, although that will be taken away by Joe Dorber and Christian Lindgren when the 5-second penalty rears its head. Just back onto the Redford-Dorber incident we saw earlier. No penalty given on that one, so Joe Dorber is safe for the next step of the podium as more cars come through and take the checkered flag. It's been a relatively spaced out race today. Typically we see a lot closer racing in these one make series, but maybe guys just trying to get themselves back into the GT4 flow. Of course, less downforce, no tire warmers, grip levels a little bit different than what they're used to maybe in the GT3 machinery within the realm of ACC. Peter Lundqvist snags a top 10. Kevin Boss equally so, I think. Oh no, he lost places actually. The timing tower doing me dirty there. Peter Lundqvist, Callum Kerrigan got past, and Les Stevenson. You could see the frustration from Kevin Boss there, slamming into the wall at Paddock Hill Bend. That's not good at all. Neil Pimlott P13 there. Matthew Malcolm P15. Evan Toth there doing just about enough to fend off Malcolm. We saw that one getting relatively close in the background of Andy Boardman, who's done a full formation lap and now trundles back into pit lane. So Very good there from Andy Boorman. It's a strong start to his championship so far. And that's what a left-hand drive Ginetta would look like there from the courtesy of Jesse Lee. And your race winner there, 69 on the door, 69 points to his name, and a number 1 on the Lumi rank display as well. Fantastic performance from Andy Boorman. Of course, played the strategy very well indeed. Of course, across the 1 litre mandatory stop. Didn't take tyres. Will Stevenson took tyres, so maybe let that be a lesson to you guys at home or anybody watching back the broadcast. I know lots of drivers do like to do so to find out what happened behind them, because of course not everything you see out of your windows you can see fully. As I've watched back broadcasts before and thought, how did that happen? I didn't even know what was going on behind me on that one. But yeah, brilliant to see nonetheless. I think a great start to the Ginetta Cup Season 3. Of course, next week we head to Hungaroring, and that provided some very good racing when we hit the Porsche Carrera Cup there. And I know typically in the realm of F1, Joe, of course, it's where you naturally come from. It's a bit of a tricky circuit to make passes on in F1 cars, and I think even trickier in GT3 cars and GT4 cars, such as the Ginetta.
Yeah, I mean, it's just going to be all about that main straight, and can you get the exit out of the final corner? Can you get the run out of the long, sweeping final corner at the Hungaroring, and then just heading down the straight? That move into turn 1, we're going to be seeing many, many of those as we head on to next week. But this is a recap of this race. By the way, Kevin Boss did lose on that last lap a couple of positions. I didn't see exactly what happened, but then I saw Kevin Boss just flying almost into the back of Les Stevenson. So there must have been a mistake midway through the second sector. But yeah, the Hungaroring should be set to throw up a very, very exciting race. And I think we should be seeing the drivers a little bit closer together, which will bring an alternative dimension to the race.
Yeah, I completely agree there. Hopefully the grid a little bit more packed together next week. We did have 33 sign-ups on the website. Only 27 drivers made the server tonight. So still 6 more potential cars that we could be adding into the mix, which again throws in that added curveball of taking points away from people like Andy Boorman as they try and begin their championship crusade to accrue as many points as they can. Catching a few highlights as we roll out here today, and a perfect time to say a big thank you to our partners. They've been revolving around in the bottom left hand side of your screen. AK Esports, a long-standing partner with us here at RCI from esports services and equipment. They offer everything to elevate your competitive gaming experience, including providing our server solutions here at RCI. Coach Dave Delta, faster lap times start with Delta, a setup and data analysis app for iRacing, ACC, LMU, and even Gran Turismo 7, which still astonishes me to this day. Available in 9 languages, giving you access to setups, racing lines, and data analysis. Why not stay ahead of your rivals with Delta? Check our link down below in the description if you think that program can help you at all. Green Man Gaming, buy games and game keys with Green Man Gaming. Get the best prices, awesome bundles, and exclusive game deals daily. And Jesse Lee making me aware that Green Man Gaming has a Monster Hunter Wilds, which has just been released for 16% off. So a saving is a saving nonetheless on that one. Be sure to check them out down below. IMB Racewear, who were, of course, a title sponsor of our community series, providing fully custom designs to allow sim racers and real-life racers to make the impact they have always wanted to in their apparel. From gloves to socks to jackets, you can be sure that every piece is crafted with precision, style, and performance in mind. Moser Racing joined us just last year. We're thrilled to, of course, partner with them, leader in high-quality sim racing gear. Moser Racing has everything to boost your racing experience. Be sure to check the link down below in the description and take your setup a step higher. And of course, not forgetting Motorsport UK Esports, where we're a recommended community. And if you do become a paid member with those guys, there is an iRacing offer, I still believe, entailed in that one. You can, of course, join us next week when we head to the Hungaroring. Fingers crossed, Joe, you'll be back with us for round 2. And fingers crossed, racing might be a little bit closer and a little bit cleaner than what we saw here tonight.
We might have a real
Absolutely.
broadcaster.
And yes, thank you very much for having me. I will be seeing you next week. Fingers crossed if everything goes right. And the Hungaroring is the next stop on our journey in this little mini series, 6 rounds that we have ahead of us. And we've got a couple of months of action ahead of us. Not a bad start today, but hoping for a slightly less dominant victory. Hoping that somebody can hold the candle to our race victor today.
Yeah, that's it. Who can challenge Andy Boardman as we head to the next 5 rounds, as we go towards April with this championship. It's great to have you on board with us here at RCI TV. If you've been watching along, thank you very much for joining us. If you're watching back, thank you for watching back, and we appreciate each and every one of you. Of course, it is that time when we do say our goodbyes. You can catch Jesse and Katrina for Le Mans Ultimate on Friday. And of course, not forgetting iRacing on Saturday with the RSS Endurance Series beginning. So hit that subscribe button, hit that follow button, all that good stuff, and catch us once again on RCI TV. We hope you have a wonderful rest of the week. And for now, take care.
You ready? 3, 2, 1, go. Get behind the wheel, let's go. Grip the road, feel the flow. Thunder roaring, steel alive. Live this dream and drive. Tires burning with gasoline. Push the limits, chasing green. One shot, don't slow, go on, we'll take control. Engines scream alive tonight. Blazing past the red line. Outrun the night, won't lose this fight. Follow the road, red line for show. We're chasing taillights, don't let go. Under the stars, we'll go so far. This is who we are. Chasing taillights.